I have not been level-headed. And I think this leads really well back into the last couple of weeks where we've discussed one Mr. Musk. So bottom line is, I think that the messaging around the attempt to purchase Twitter, which may actually go through from how it's looking right now.
Yeah.
I think the messaging of I will save it, I will be the hero for free speech that the world needs. No, these are not direct quotes, but I think the sentiment is pretty clear. I think it shows a narcissistic personality with a messiah complex, and there's enough information about this particular individual that contradicts some kind of grand, noble goal towards improving free speech in the world that, honestly, it's just offensive to me that anyone even believes it for a second. And the reality of it is that my head's not been quite on straight. And I went and I started drawing comparisons because I read a ton and I don't always get every detail right. And the way that my memory works is like highly associative. Like I'll see a spoon and I'll be like, oh yeah,
Cereal.
that one spoon that doesn't match. I remember where we got it. Like that's just like I make jumps. I make connections. And so, this is a character that, I find the fact that there's this worship of this particular character who has made a lot of not just mistakes, but in my opinion, a lot of moves that demonstrate a character that I personally am not. I don't think is great. There, that's what I'll say. What I did is I started going off and I started taking things that were actually to do with other billionaires that people worship for reasons that I think do not overcome the problems with these people, or anecdotes that I had heard, or things that I read 3 years ago and I don't remember all the details of. And so last week there was an attempt made to kind of set the record straight. Honestly, I didn't do a good job then either. So this week, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to keep it really simple. We had the writing team put together a list of, things that I either got wrong or were based on hearsay. And I just want to clear it up. Okay. So the claim was that Musk was not the original founder of Tesla. Tesla was founded by Mark Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning in 2003. Elon Musk was an early investor in 2004. Okay,
He was the lead of the first round of investments, as far as my understanding.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there was some fighting about that founder title. I think I had said who I think I'd gotten wrong, who sued who. Bottom line is, founder, in my opinion, is you can just be CEO. Why do you need to be founder when you literally didn't found something? You could make the argument that you were foundational, or whatever. To me, it's a silly thing. It's an ego thing. I don't think it reflects someone who is healthy to get kind of hung up on details like that. And who was right and who was wrong with respect to the lawsuit and the argument about it. I've got an entire page on it. Honestly, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you guys because it doesn't matter. The point is that I said some stuff that wasn't quite accurate. Okay. But it's also just factually correct that Mr. Musk did not found Tesla in the sense that we would think of founding.
Yeah, I tried to look up like what the
media group.
Yeah, I tried to look up like what the definition of that was. And sometimes, to be fair, it does get a little vague, especially when it comes into when people start opening things up for these investment rounds and stuff. Yeah. It has definitely happened before where extremely early investors get labeled as founders. I don't know if that's normal, but yeah, he wasn't like one of the literal initial OG founders. People. Yeah.
So, but you know what? Maybe from his point of view, he feels like he should be because they wouldn't have gotten anywhere without him. So that's why I'm just saying, like, yeah, here's where I got the idea from. It's not actually technically wrong in that sense. But yeah, maybe he has an argument too. I no longer care. I've moved on.
Sure.
Honestly, it was just I went back and I rewatched the clip. Like, my brain was going 2 steps ahead and my mouth was way back here. The thing with the whole like family treatment, really, I was talking about choosing better heroes, and the person who was really horrible to their family was Steve Jobs. That's not really open for debate. Guy was like not a good dude.
Yeah, I'm on board with that one. Yeah.
As far as treatment of family goes. Now, this is all hearsay, but according to previous spouses, Elon's track record ain't perfect. Okay, that's all I'll say.
Just to be clear, this is previous spouse, right? This is one person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, spouses. 2 spouses. Grimes' allegations of like poor living conditions, when Musk's own admission, this is great. He lives very frugally, but he allows himself this one luxury of a private jet. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff she was complaining about was like there only being like peanut butter and stuff. Isn't she like super rich too? Can she buy her own food?
So it depends. I'm not going to pretend to understand their relationship dynamic because I was not there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she.
Sorry, go for it.
Maybe she could buy a new mattress. Maybe not. I don't know. So that's it. So I have definitely seen bits that give me reason to believe that he's not the kind of father that I want to be. Sure. There's a bit about how during the first part of an infant's life, the kid doesn't really need him, so Grimes is doing all the work. And I'm sitting here going, right, but like did it occur to you for 4 seconds that it might not be actually about the infant, like being helpful? Like, I read stuff like that and it's just like, clearly he just doesn't have a clue, right? And so, no, I don't have anything concrete, but my vibe ain't great. So I'm still there, but I'm also, I'm not going to make any kind of assertions. As for the claim that Tesla dissolved their PR department, I don't really know why there's any debate about this. They confirmed it. We no longer have a PR team. And the fact that anyone thinks that is defensible is terrifying to me. It's absolutely terrifying to me to think that corporations should not have to answer questions and should just decide they're just simply not going to answer questions anymore.
Here's a potential flip. There's no official PR team for LTT Store. Like, I can think of a lot of places that sell things.
There is. You can go on linusmediagroup.com, and we have an email called info@linusmediagroup.com that you can contact and ask a question. Of course, we have a forward-facing way to talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way to
any
talk.
Decent company.
There's a way to talk to Tesla as well.
They didn't just dissolve the PR team. They made it so you actually cannot reach them. You can tag Elon on Twitter and hope you get a response.
Yeah.
Like, that is not, no. That's like actually not acceptable, especially for something where safety is such an enormous factor. Something where the costs for the customer are so high that when a customer has a roof fly off the vehicle because of your shoddy quality control on the way home from the factory, allegedly, you need to answer questions about that. People could have died. This isn't just like some media company where you might be like, hey, what brand of underarm deodorant does Linus use because Ed referred to it as cheap and I don't want to smell cheap. Like, that's the kind of questions people might ask us. We don't make life and death products.
So it looks like they have press at Tesla.com.
So they literally dissolved their PR department. So what does that mean?
I don't know. Because like the thing that you brought up was that there's no way to contact them, right? But they have a contact.
Oh, did they just not reply to it?
I don't know. There's press at Tesla.com. There's EU press at Tesla.com. There's APAC press at Tesla.com. And there's China-press at Tesla.com.
So Electrek can confirm Tesla has dissolved its PR department, technically becoming the first automaker who doesn't talk to the press.
They have press emails.
Hold on a second. AC here, we had a contact there. They told us they won't talk to us anymore. Yeah. So actually, we've experienced it firsthand. I don't just have to take Electrek's word for it. A Prime says, does Apple talk to us though? Apple is also an astonishingly arrogant company with a really bad attitude.
Fair enough.
Apple, like Tesla, talks only to whoever they want to talk when they want to talk. Like, what do you want me to say? I mean, saying like, oh, Apple does it too is like, okay, yeah. And what's interesting is Apple did have press contacts for us all of a sudden when they needed something. And as soon as they didn't need anything, they took off again.
I'm sure Tesla would be the same way. I can't help but think that a very large amount of companies...
And our Stanley says the press emails go unanswered. Okay, so there you go.
Okay. Well, I can't imagine there isn't a large amount of companies that are very selective about what press emails they respond to. I don't know if you remember back in the day.
Legal would have to review a lot of stuff.
I don't know if you remember back in the day, but even when Oculus was a part of Facebook, it was actually impossible for us to talk to them until I started just like harassing Palmer Luckey directly, and then we were able to get responses.
So the problem with this, and the reason that I brought it up, was not necessarily to say that there's no one else who effectively doesn't have a press relations department or who just considers himself above answering questions. Because really that's the attitude that we're showing here. The reason I brought it up is because it does demonstrate an arrogance and a belief that you simply aren't accountable. And it was while we were discussing that Elon is supposed to be some kind of free speech, some kind of like paragon of. And you know what? Yeah, transparency, I guess, is not technically free speech. No. But from my point of view, they're both foundational pillars of a free society, I guess, is what I will say. And so what I did was, again, my brain was 2 steps ahead of my mouth, and I was making these connections. And that's why I brought it up, which is why it made no sense. Selbar said Elon dissolved their PR because he felt it was a pointless cost as it didn't shift their rep at all. Right. Because their rep was bad because they kept doing stupid stuff and having like bad QC and kept having scandals. Now, there have been times that I think that traditional automaker press has unfairly targeted Tesla. That's a fair criticism.
Extremely, yeah. And lots of other groups as well. He's a very... I've actually been wondering how to phrase this over the last couple of days. He's a very conflict is very heavy around him, both in like support and attack. Like I can't think of all that many other people who have had companies out there that are so public and so welcomed by so many people, and then you have like people showing up to the Tesla superchargers and like parking internal combustion engine cars in the spots and like trying to like freak people out so that they'll leave the area, and like it's extremely contentious, and it's kind of hard to find articles
a balanced take.
Yeah, and we kind of added to that problem, but
it didn't help.
No, but it's very hard. Like I tried to do some research on a few of these things myself, and diving into quite a few of them, I was like, wow, I really can't find anything that isn't extremely heavily editorialized,
one way or the other.
Yeah, like just it's pretty.
But
tough.
If we slow down and look at the actions, right? Alex Clark is kind of mad in the Floatplane chat right now. He's like, hey, there's also the whole suing Top Gear thing. Yeah, suing independent media is like not cool, by the way.
Yeah,
they don't have to say nice things about you. You can not work with them again, by all means, and you don't have to reply to their emails.
What did he sue them for?
He sued them. I forget what you know what? I don't want to say. I don't remember the exact details.
Didn't they fake some stuff? Wasn't that actually like? No, he tossed.
Well, he
Apparently, a
lost.
judge tossed it
So
out. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Mm.
Who knows?
Okay. So then, other things we talked about. Musk pumping up Dogecoin. I mean, please. Anyone who's going to argue that that was a thing or was not a thing, excuse me. Like, come on. One thing we got definitely wrong was the Starlink aid to Ukraine.
Yeah,
SpaceX covered a significant portion of that, and
like
that's
actually
good.
a lot. Yeah.
A plus good. Now you can get into a much bigger conversation around oh man, what's it called when you like whitewash your image or greenwash your image through like a just like negligible amount of philanthropy compared to your wealth.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
We
For
could
sure.
talk about that, but at the end of the day, Starlink is a really important product.
I mean, yeah, you have to be.
Will actually be an enormous good for the world.
Yeah,
It's for
agreed.
profit. Don't
And
kid yourself,
I'm
but
happy that they're doing that here, and I'm sure to a certain degree it's going to act as an advertising piece because they're showing like, look, even in a crazy conflict zone, it's working, and like it's really helpful for people, and like when all the other infrastructure is failing, this is working. Like that's obviously a fantastic advertising piece, and I'm sure there was at least a little bit of motivation to do that. But like it's a little bit of an interesting path to go down when to try to say like, oh, it's I don't know. Using that as a negative thing, I don't think is fair at all. He was asked for it and he supplied it.
yep.
It's similar
There you go.
to a few other things in this doc where people are like, "Oh, like he did this thing and it like wasn't exactly the way that I would like it to have been done." And it's like, well, he was
Like
asked
the
for this thing
ventilators.
and he supplied it. Yeah, yeah. Like the
Yep.
like
They provided what they were asked for. So you know what? That's something I got wrong. I managed to get misled by editorialized content about that whole saga, and I'm sorry.
And then when
I make mistakes.
yelled at him about the ventilator thing, because apparently it did end up being not helpful, even though at least he claims it was what was asked for. They turned around, and after that, they worked with a company that produces the correct ventilators, and they helped them. Like SpaceX apparently was like one of the few companies that could actually produce the valves that they needed for the ventilators, and SpaceX produced a huge amount of the valves, which was the most complicated component for making the ventilators for this company that makes the correct ventilators, so that they could produce significantly more than they would have otherwise been able to. And that like doesn't get any coverage. Which again, I'm not trying to like be the weird nerd that dives in front of Elon to defend him, because I don't think he needs it at all. I am in no way interested in coming to the defense of billionaires, and you should know that if you've watched this show before. But I do want the attacks to be accurate and correct, and I think there is things to go after properly, and I think that should be all that is done.
Zypher says double standard much. He just finished telling floatplane users to stop talking about a certain something, and now he's saying that independent media can talk about whatever they want. Which is it? Question mark, exclamation mark. There was a flame war. People were violating the terms of service of the website by personally attacking each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a distinction there, but you don't know that because you're not floatplane elite. So enjoy YouTube chat, or don't. What else we got? Yeah, we got not disclosing the stake in Twitter. I've got people wondering why that mattered. It mattered because it was illegal. That's why it mattered.
Well, if you are a large public figure and you are hastily grabbing shares in a single company, making that public will drive the cost of those shares up significantly. And it is apparently, I don't know a lot about this type of stuff, but it is apparently the law that you're supposed to do that. And he didn't.
If you reach a 5% threshold.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I don't know a lot about this stuff. But that would, like, if people see like, oh, Musk is investing a bunch in Twitter, a bunch of people are going to also try to do that, and it's going to drive the cost up. And if he does not disclose that, and people do not know that, it will at least somewhat aid in keeping the cost similar to what it was when he first started buying.
So he illegally suppressed the value of shares that other people unknowingly sold, even though legally there was supposed to be a disclosure that probably would have driven up the price of those shares. So basically, it was an example of what I consider to be extraordinarily unethical behavior and acting in self-interest that has been a pattern, whether it's Dogecoin or whether it's buying Twitter shares. I'm not impressed, and I don't have to be, because illegally manipulating stock prices is illegal. So there's that.
Yeah.
All right. Are A Prime and Alex arguing in Floatplane chat? You guys better not be.
I don't think so. I'm not sure. But
Okay.
I don't think so.
What we're gonna say? Okay, so there was the whole pedo guy Thai cave rescue thing. You know what? I'm just gonna say that was way more complicated than we gave it credit for.
Yep.
So sorry, I'm just never gonna talk about it again unless I like literally hire a dedicated person to go in and dig up everything about it.
Yeah, you have to dive through the court case and like do all this. Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay,
which is a theme.
And there's nothing in here about right to repair. Tesla is a horrible company when it comes to right to repair, and that comes straight from the top. That much is just very clear. So I do not like. And oh man, I was criticized for having a very us versus them attitude about it, as though it's like us versus them. And I was also criticized for being an elite while criticizing the elite. But I think the thing you guys got to understand is that it is us versus them when them do stuff that makes life worse for us. And when I mean them and us, I mean the people who make the cars. We are talking billionaires and people who buy them. Yes, I am a millionaire. I mean, like, obviously, like there are sites you can go on to see, like, it's just common sense. We have 65 full-time employees. I am clearly, hold on a second. Greg Schneider spent $100 to send this super chat. I watch every video and tell people to. I buy merch. First video where Linus is getting political enough to make me consider stopping. Just sad. Stick to tech and don't create division. What? What was political here?
Most of the show has been political. Is an interesting term these days. I think it gets used for a lot of things, but a lot of the show so far has been about very line dividing topics.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you. Someone elevating themselves to the detriment of other people shouldn't divide people down a political line. That's just bad. I don't care if your name is Elon Musk or Donald Trump or Nancy Pelosi. It doesn't matter. If you are engaging in unethical behavior that enriches yourself at the cost of the general public, that's bad. Anyway, The point is, yes, I'm a millionaire. You can find that out very easily. Google is your friend. But I am not influential in the same way that the wealthy elite are. I can't change policy. We're talking me compared to a person who can change policy by just changing the policy. Tesla's stance on right to repair could change tomorrow with a tweet. I don't have that kind of power. So, yeah, it's us versus them because I'm not on that side. I think the last thing that we have left is, no, I guess that's it. Oh, okay, there was the whole thing. Someone wrote an article Musk didn't like, and as he had pre-purchased a Model X, Musk took it upon himself to cancel the order. Basically, Musk's take on this, which is still up on Twitter from February 3rd, 2016, must be a slow news day if denying service to a super rude customer gets this much attention. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily just rudeness to be upset about the way that the launch of the Model X was handled. If you gave a $5,000 deposit, I think characterizing something like that as being rude is dismissive. But yeah, so there you go. I am sorry for anything I said that was not factually correct. And I'm just not going to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
We're done now?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's be done.
Let's be done. Let's be done. All right.
Thanks for watching, and thanks to Secret Lab for sponsoring this week's clips. Secret Lab chairs are engineered to keep you comfy, and with up to 5 years of warranty and a 49-day return policy, you're covered if anything goes wrong. Head to the link in the description to get your Secret Lab chair today.